Asked questions that I get about ice makers. We're going to be talking about everything from decibel level readings to functionality, how I actually like to use my ice, and I'm also going to talk about how to clean them and keep them maintained. I'm going to be focusing on two different machines. I've actually owned both of these, and these are the original versions that I purchased about 2 years ago, and they're still running perfectly. So I'm pretty well versed in everything ice makers, and I'm going to go over some commonly asked questions. I'll share the links to everything I am discussing below if you want to check them out for yourselves later. And we're going to start right away with a pellet ice maker. I have two versions here. I have a pellet ice maker, which is perfect for soft, crunchy ice, everyday drinks. My family really loves this. This is the original one that I had. And then I'm also going to be talking about another one. You may have seen these around. This is a sphere ice maker. It makes 2-inch round spheres, which is perfect for whiskey or cocktails, but I'm going to show you some other ways I like to use it as well. Both of these machines are from the same brand, and I've never had to replace them. And I do get a lot of questions about their noise level, and I tested it with a decibel meter, so I'm going to be sharing that with you as well. So I'd love to start with the pellet ice maker. This is one that we use most frequently. I have both machines down here in my kitchen basement, you might notice, and that's because it just requires just a little bit more space because these are larger machines, but they also make a little bit of noise. So I don't like to keep them in my main kitchen area. I've tried them and they're a little bit disruptive. I can keep it in my laundry room without a problem, and I've even kept it right outside my kitchen door in my garage on a shelf year round, and they've worked well too. Even though there is a little bit of noise associated with these machines, it's still worth it for me to set it up in my basement. It still get used a lot, and we're really glad that we have them. That's why I kind of wanted to share my experience with you, because it's a little bit of a hassle to find a place to put them, but once you do, it's really well worth it. I'm going to move in closer so you can get a close look at this pellet ice maker. So this is a pellet ice maker with a couple of unique features. You can see that it has a screen on the front and it's really easy to use. You can just use it alone by just pushing the buttons on the front. But if you want to connect it to the app, it actually does have an app. So you can set timers and you can do everything remotely. You can turn it on remotely if you're not at home and you want it to be making ice. But you can also set a schedule so it will make ice at the same times every day, and you can set what days of the week. And the app is pretty user-friendly. I have it on my phone here, and I just set it up one time when I first got it, and I never really needed to even mess with it again. It just kind of did its own thing. So the app worked really great. I was pleased with that, and I have been using this every single day since I got it a couple years ago, and it hasn't broken on me yet. I know a lot of ice machines kind of break after 6 months or a year. This one is not the most expensive one on the market, but it just keeps on kicking, and it's worked fabulous for me. It comes with this little plastic ice scoop. If you want to upgrade, you can get stainless steel ones that look a little bit nicer, but this functions well. And I'm going to show you on the inside. Right now, there is a signal on the front that says ice full, so it will notify you when the ice is full. And this machine makes ice very quickly. It doesn't run all the time. You can hear right now it's quiet. Any noise you hear is from the other ice machine over here. It's made a full bucket of ice. I just turned this on maybe an hour ago, and it will make up to 40 pounds of ice a day, actually. And within 10 minutes of adding water, you will see ice pellets being made. If we open up the door, you can see that I have a full bin of ice in here. And this is that soft, crunchy Nugget ice. Once I open the door, you might hear it running again. It just starts the refrigeration. But this will actually stay cold for me for a long time. So if I were to just leave it alone and unplug it, it would actually be insulated enough to stay cold for about 24 hours. As the ice melts, it kind of drops down below. The water will fall down below and keep recycling and keep making ice out of the melted ice. So you don't need to keep adding water all the time if you don't end up using the ice. If you want to save it in your freezer, you can do that too. I do find that sometimes though it kind of clumps together into chunks, and you might have to break it up a little bit if you put it in your freezer. But this is really, really nice ice. This is the perfect texture. They are not perfect squares. I've seen other versions that are more expensive and they make perfect squares. This one is probably hard to see on camera. They're a little bit slushy, they're a little bit uneven, but they're just the absolute perfect restaurant style ice. Yeah, it melts quickly in your glass, but it also cools down your liquid really quickly. I'll show you a glass of water in a minute. We use this all the time, so this is definitely our favorite. and a couple of tricks I learned along the way. So you do need to clean it every single week. I'm going to show you how to do that. But when you fill this, you can do it a couple of different ways. You could dump water in the bottom if you wanted, but the easiest way is to just take this bin out, and you can just lift this top section off here and pour water directly in. I use drinking water, just bottled drinking water, but you could use tap water too if you wanted to. And I just fill it to the max fill line, or you can actually remove this entire thing and just take it over to the tap and fill it up from your tap. So it just slides in. And there's one little trick here. The one thing you want to make sure that you're doing is pushing it all the way in. If you just push it a little bit, it leaves a little gap here. And when you close the door, it won't close all the way and warm air gets inside. It won't function right. So make sure that when you are installing the water bin, just give it an extra little push in. It will go in all the way, and then you can close the door. So it will turn on and off depending on where it is in the cycle. And the front will tell you right now there's a snowflake on here, so that's telling me that it's actively making ice. It's also telling me the water temperature and the air temperature. You can set the timer here on the top for a clock. And I also like that it has a light on the inside, so you can just push this button and use the light and turn it on and off that way. I typically keep it off, but it's nice to have as a night light, or if you're having a party, it's nice to have that on. And the only other thing you need to know here, there's a couple buttons on the other side. This is the power button. This is the on and off light button. This is the clock, the temperature, and it tells you what it's doing here as far as if it's making ice or just keeping things cold. These up and down buttons will help you set the timers. You can set the timers directly on the front of the machine, or you can actually do it all within the app, which I find to be easier. And it does connect via Wi-Fi, and the connection was really easy. The only thing I'm going to mention is that you do need to clean this properly. This is probably the number one question I get asked is how do you clean the thing? And I'm going to show you exactly how I do it. The first thing I did was research this, because the first time I got this machine, I didn't clean it for about a month and it got moldy on the inside. It was a pain to get clean. Now I maintain it every week. It takes about 10 minutes and it's well worth it. If you're using this every single day, take the time to clean it for 10 minutes every single day, every single week, and you won't never have a problem. It won't get out of hand. So I'm going to share with you what I use for that, and then I'll show you up close what the ice looks like and how I like to use it before we move on to the other ice maker. So I like to use this product. I've tried a few different things. This comes in a tablet or in a liquid form, and this has been the best thing I have found so far, and it's really reasonably priced. You can get these in a pack like this, and it's an entire year's supply. It has 24 tablets, so you can do this every other week if you wanted to. And it just comes in a package like this, and inside is a hard tablet that dissolves. So what I like to do is make sure all the ice is melted out of the machine, and here's what the tablet looks like. And it's very simple. So all you need to do is dump this into the reservoir that holds the water. So I open it up after the ice is gone. I dump it right into here, and I make sure the water is full. And I just wait until the full thing is dissolved. So dump it in here with water, wait till it's dissolved. Make sure you've emptied the ice bin first, and then close it up. And all you have to do is push the clean button. It will go through a cleaning process, and you just let it run. It takes maybe half hour, 20 minutes. And then you want to empty all the water out of it. So it actually has a plug underneath here that just pops out. I actually just take the machine and I rotate it over here. I keep it right by my sink. And you only need to pull it over that far. I grab the plug from underneath and just pull it down, and all the water will drain out right into the sink. And then I actually open up the back here. I'll show you up close what that looks like. All right, so back here is a little door, and this actually has water in it. So you just slide it out and up. And I take a cloth and I wipe all that out. I dry it out so no mold or mildew can accumulate in there, dry it all the way out. And then I like to actually wash all the parts real quickly just in the sink with soapy water. It just takes a second. I just open this up, and the parts that come out would be this bin. I wash this all the way, and then I wash this all the way. Make sure you get the corners, just hot soapy water is fine. And then I wipe down the inside too. After I've done that, I just run one cycle of water through it, dump that ice, and then I'm ready for regular ice making. So it sounds like a lot of steps, but it really doesn't take long at all. And like I said, if you keep up with it every other week or every week, you'll never really get any mold or mildew accumulating, and it won't be a problem at all. So dunk the tablet in there, run it, drain it, wipe it out, run one more cycle, and then you're ready for fresh water again. So that's how I like to clean mine. And like I said, if you don't want to wait for the tablet to dissolve, they actually have a liquid form of it as well. I'm going to pour some ice into a cup and just show you. Sometimes I get a lot of comments about, oh, it just waters down your drink. I get that comment a lot. And I don't find that to be the case at all. I actually drink my drink faster when I have ice in it, so it doesn't really matter to me anyway. But it will make your whole drink kind of slushy, which is kind of the point, and it cools the liquid off really quickly. So I like to use a cup like this. And these are my favorite cups. I'm actually going to share this in the link as well. I don't know, they're just a nice size. I don't know if they're intended for water, but these are our favorites. They're kind of like stemless wine glasses, I guess. And then you can use the scoop. I keep the scoop nearby so nobody's sticking their hands in there. And I put a generous amount in my cup. I will fill it at least halfway. And it's perfect for water, but we use it for all kinds of things. Juice, cocktails, whatever you like. It's hard to show on camera, but it's really, really nice. It's, like I said, it's not perfect squares. It has a little bit of texture to it. It's very easy to crunch. It's very chewable for those who are iron deficient and you love to chew ice. It's not too hard to chew or anything. So that's what the ice looks like. And I'm going to pour some water for you. And yeah, some of it will melt right away, but you can see I have a nice full glass of ice water. This is cold immediately. You can see the frost on the glass, and it's a really nice slushy drink. My kids love this. We probably make 10 pounds of this a day and go through it every single day, year round. So that's our number one ice maker. We love this ice maker. Typically I use tap water, but if you want really good tasting, perfect, I just get spring water. You don't have to buy anything special, but honestly, tap water is fine. If you like your drinking water at home, it will work fine, and it doesn't affect the machine at all. So this one has been running, like I said, for 2 years, and I've never had to replace it. Now let's talk about noise level before we go over to the other ice maker. I actually downloaded a decibel meter because this is a common problem with ice makers. They're a little bit loud. So I measured the decibel levels. Obviously, when it's not running, it's 0. Right now, it's not really running. But when it's running and actively making ice, it's about 50. And I did a little research that's very comparable to a dishwasher and quieter than a washing machine. So it's not too loud compared to other household appliances. Whether or not you want to listen to that in your main kitchen or not is up to you, but it's really nice in a spare area like this one. And I like this version because it turns on and off, and it still keeps the ice cold on the inside. So this is the one I really like to use, and it's worked great for us. Now the other one I wanted to talk to you about is a newer one for me. I've probably had this one a little bit over a year, and it still works great. This one has a decibel reading of 52. It's a little bit louder, and it runs a little bit more often, but it's pretty cool. It's a little bit larger than the other one. So the pellet ice maker is about, I'd say 1.5 feet tall. This one's just a little bit deeper and a little bit taller, but you can still see that it fits perfectly on my standard size countertop. So I'm going to give you a better look at this here. So this makes ice spheres that are about 2 inches in diameter. You can get them a little bit larger as well, and it makes 4 at a time. So this one's a little bit different. You can see that it has only 2 buttons. And this one is a little bit more bare bones. It doesn't connect to an app or anything like that. It just has 2 buttons. And I wanted to share with you some of the features because if you don't keep the manual, you might forget how to use it. And there's a little trick to it. So to turn it on and off, obviously you're just going to push the power button, and that'll turn it off. And that will actually keep your ice cubes in there for about 24 hours. They'll slowly melt over the 24 hours, but it's pretty well insulated. You don't have to keep it running all the time. If you want to turn it off overnight, you can. I actually tend to take the ice cubes out of it and put it in my refrigerator or in my freezer at night and keep the ice cubes for later, and I keep making it. And then I just turn the machine off when I've made enough. You can easily accumulate plenty for a week's worth and just by running it for 1 day. So I don't keep this one running all the time. So that's why I like to keep this down here. And I don't just use this for cocktails. It's typically advertised for using with whiskey and cocktails, which it's great for, but I'm going to show you a couple of different ways I like to use it. And obviously because it's round, the ice melts slower. So the power button turns it on and off. But the tricky thing's gonna come when you try to actually clean this thing and you wanna put it through a cleaning cycle, and you'll push this button and you'll long press this button and nothing will happen. What you gotta use is a light button. So this also has a light, and it turns on. It's a little bit more subtle of a light than the other one. Again, these are the same brand, and they both have been working pretty consistently for me. So that's why I just stick with this brand, because they actually work. I don't have to replace it. I have a family member who has a really expensive brand name one, and it breaks constantly. They're probably on their 5th one, and mine works better. Do keep this tray underneath it. You'll see that, I don't know why, but it drips a little bit of water, just enough that you want to keep that tray underneath it all the time to catch that. But when you want to clean it, you push the light button one time short to turn the light on and off. But if you want to clean it, you long press the light button and it'll put it into a cleaning mode. So I kind of forgotten how to do that. So just for future reference, if you want to clean it, long press the light button. And this one, again, does not have an app. You can't really set it while you're gone or anything like that, but it does come with tubing. If you have piped in water line and you want to connect it in the back, you can easily do that. And I clean it the same exact way. I use that same cleaning product that I showed you earlier. I move this over to the edge of my sink and I pull the plug underneath. I empty it of ice. I fill it with water and I put one of those tabs in, push the cleaning cycle, let it run through, dump it, wipe it, run one more through just for good measure, and then I'm ready to make ice again. And again, it sounds like a long process, but once you do it regularly, it's not a big deal at all. This is probably my favorite, and one thing people get really concerned about with a sphere ice maker is clarity. So if you're picky about that, I have a couple of tips and tricks for you. The ice that I made here is from overnight, so it's not that clear, but you can see that it makes perfectly round balls. And they come with these, they're kind of tricky to grab onto, so I really like these tongs that they give you. They have like saw teeth edges, and you can easily grab the ice, and it makes 4 at a time. And they drop into this bin down below. And the bin actually has a pad in the bottom. It's like a silicone pad in the bottom that softens the blow when they drop, so they don't break apart at all. So you make sure that you take that out and clean that every week when you're cleaning. The one thing I'm going to say about this is refilling it with water is just a little trickier, but once you find the right vessel, it's fine. If you take a big water bottle and try to pour it, the way that you fill it with water is by putting water directly into the bottom here. There's a max fill line. But just because this door doesn't open all the way, it's a little bit tricky. Sometimes you might spill a little water. If you get a smaller glass or pitcher and then just pour water in here, it's a lot easier, I found. So all you need to do is put water in the bottom, make sure the basket is in place, and push start. That's all you have to do. It'll make 4 ice cubes a little bit slower than the pellet ice maker. It'll make 4 ice cubes. I believe it takes half an hour or so, and I just collect them throughout the day. And I'll show you how I collect them and how I store them in my freezer, because you don't want to put them in a bin all together. They'll stick together. So they actually give you this special container. So I just store them in here. And I've actually purchased a couple of extra ones because I want to have more than 8 ice cubes at a time. And they fit perfectly in here and they stay separated. It's just a plastic container, but you can buy thicker plastic ones too to keep in your freezer and stack them in your freezer. So you always have some on hand and you don't need to keep the machine running all the time. Like I said, I used a decibel meter. This one was running at about 52 when it was running. And it'll turn off when it runs out of water. So you have to physically turn this one off if you want it off. So let's talk a little bit about ice cube clarity. That's another thing people are concerned with a sphere ice maker. It does come with something called a TDS pen. So if you're really, really concerned about wanting extra clear, crystal clear ice cubes, then you're going to use a TDS pen. And that just measures the total dissolved solids in the water. So if your tap water has a really high TDS over 300, your ice cubes are going to be cloudy, which is fine. But if you want really clear, you're going to want to get drinking water. And I just get spring water, like I showed you before, and I measure it just to be sure. And I usually make sure it's under 5. Typically, it registers around 3. So I'm going to pull one of these ice cubes out, and I'm going to show you why I don't worry too much about the clarity of the sphere, and I'll explain how I also like to use this for my kids too. This is my whiskey glass. It fits perfectly in here, and I'll share the link to that one as well if anyone's interested in these. These are my favorite. They have a nice cut design on the bottom. But I'm gonna pull one out of these out of here for you. All right, so you can see this one isn't really perfectly clear, but it fits really nicely into my whiskey cup. And let me get some water, and let me show you what happens to the ice cube the minute I put liquid on it. All right, so let's pour a little water in here. So the second I pour water on it, it's almost completely see-through. So my honest opinion is don't worry too much about the clarity. Yes, it could be a little clearer if I measure the TDS, but almost immediately it clears up when you pour water on it anyway. Like I said before, just because of the shape of this ice, it will water down your drink a lot less quickly than the pellet ice. So if you're concerned about cooling down your drink but not having any melting and you don't want to crunch the ice, this is perfect. But the other reason I like it is for my kids' sports activities. We found that it fits perfectly in our favorite water bottle. And I'll share my favorite water bottle with you too if you look at the links later. But I like to use this Awala. And sometimes it's tricky to get ice in here. And when you do, by the time you're using it, even if it's insulated, it's already melted. So we found that it fits perfectly in here. And we even have those tall thermoses like this that have the really small opening at the top, and they fit in there too. So I like to just put a few in here. This is great for back to school because it will last an entire school day, and even for sports after. And I just like to fill it up. If they're having water, I'll put 4, 5, or 6 in here, and then put water in here, and then they'll have ice cold water all day long. Sometimes it even lasts until the next day. And it works perfectly. So I love the ice spheres for that purpose as well. So that's one of our favorite ways to use the ice maker. Like I said, you need to clean these every other week. Use the active dissolving tabs and you'll have no issues whatsoever. This brand is going to be linked down below. This is the Ecozy brand, and it may be a brand that you've heard of before. And if you're trying to compare it with some other more expensive brands, I found these machines to be extremely reliable. They run on the same decibel level as your standard ice maker. I did mention that they're a little bit loud, but I did research, and most ice makers run between the 40 and 60 decibel rating level, and this one runs at about 50 to 54, depending on which machine you're using. So it falls right within the typical range of ice makers. But these will keep on kicking for a really long time. If you want to make an investment once, I suggest checking out this brand. If you're interested in any of the items I've shown you here, I have them all linked below.